Hey, 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 hey. This is HQ again. This is HQ today, talking about a case for the modern day wife. And a lot of that depends on what you personally value in a relationship, right? A lot of hee-haw has been made about the traditional wives. And I'm not one of those people that really embraced the traditional roles because that wasn't what I valued, right? It depends on what you value in a relationship. Let's get a definition of the trade wife. A definition of a trade wife or a traditional wife. It's short for traditional wife. The term is used to describe a woman who embraces traditional gender roles, particularly in marriage and family. A traditional wife typically prioritizes homemaking, child rearing, supporting the husband while often rejecting, I guess, the feminist roles in society. Some key aspects of a traditional wife is being a stay-at-home mom. That's the one that everybody loves. Everybody loves being at home, staying at home, being a traditional wife. Okay? Cooking and cleaning is her primary role and responsibility, right? Hey, if you like that, you like that. Believing in traditional values, family, home, dynamic. Husband is the provider, the wife is the nurturer. Okay, dressing modestly. This is what they don't look at as a traditional wife. Dressing modestly or vintage inspired dress. And then rejecting modern feminism. I mean, I would love to find out how that happens. How in a modern day you reject modern aspects of relationships. Okay, so that's a traditional wife. Stay at home, cooking and cleaning. That's basically your job. The husband is the provider and the nurturer. Dressing in a modest and traditional vintage inspired way, rejecting modern dynamics. That's a traditional wife. The modern day wife is somebody who navigates marriage, balancing traditional values and contemporary expectations, right? There's really no single definition, as every marriage and partnership is unique, right? But here are some common themes in modern day marriages. Partnerships over roles. And let's be clear, I'm not speaking religiously, because not all people are religious. So let's take the religion out of it. Not all people are religious. So we cannot have that as our staple. We cannot, as a modern day person. Partnerships over role. Unlike past generations, right? Where gender roles were very rigid, often defined our marriage. Modern day wives are more than likely to have equal roles, equal partnerships, responsibilities, whether financially or household wise or parenting wise, are shared based on who is the best at it and who is better at performing the duties, right? Career and ambition. Most modern day women pursue careers, side hustles, whatever, passions, right alongside the marriage and the family life. right? They contribute financially to the household, and they may even be the primary breadwinners in these households. But they still manage to personally to do things personally and family orientated enough to make marriages work. Independence and identity. A modern woman maintains her own sense of self outside of marriage. See, I have no skin in the game one way or the other. I was a mix. I was a mix of tradition and modern. I was a mix of traditional wife and modern wife. I knew the traditional roles that I needed to do. I needed to be the comforter, the provide, the nurturer in that household. I understood that, and my husband was the person that took care of the house, and he was the primary breadwinner. I understood those roles. That's the traditional role. But I also was a modern day woman where I knew we had to work. Both of us had to work in order to provide for the family. And we negotiated what needed to be done between us too, as to who was the best at it or however it went. That's a modern day marriage. The emotional independence and identity. A modern day woman maintains a sense of self outside of her marriage, just like the man does. She maintains a sense of herself. This means she has hobbies, friendship goals, interests that aren't solely tied to her family. Okay, she keeps a sense of herself instead of losing herself in that particular marriage. And people can make a case for that outside of it or whatever. I was a mixture of traditional and modern day, and it worked for me. One or the other. You don't have to pick one or the other, but I'm making a case for the modern day woman because people keep saying the modern day woman, she's a feminist, she does this and that and this, right? Not all of us are modern all the way, but we have traditional values. Okay, emotional and mental well-being, emotional intelligence, open communication, mental health awareness, and all those things. They play a big part in modern day marriages. A modern wife values the self-care too, boundaries, and mutual respect in the relationships. Okay. This is a part of being in the modern day parenting and family dynamics. They share those. Okay. In a traditional household, 9 times out of 10, that would be all of her focus, all of her concern, PTA meetings, this, that, and the third, taking care of the kids, taking them to the hospital. That would be all her. And a lot of women resented that fact, resented those things. Okay. Today's wives may set a new parenting example and standards by way of making sure the man is involved with his family, making sure the husband has a say in what goes on in the house, what things are done for the children, how the children are reared. Traditional women normally take care of those kind of things. Okay. I'm saying we can chew gum. I'm saying we can walk and chew gum at the same time. That's what I'm saying. That's why I make the case for the modern day wives. People think, and I don't know how they get. I get how they get it. Men want women to be fit, feminine, friendly, right? And they feel like because you're a modern day woman, you don't want to be fit, feminine, and friendly. So if I was fit, feminine, and friendly, or the world of women were fit, feminine, and friendly, Would it matter whether I'm traditional or modern? Would that matter? That's the question. I don't think it would matter. So therefore, whether you're a modern day woman or you're traditional, it doesn't matter. They want you to be fit, feminine, and friendly. Okay. I get it. You want to do all that. I get it. But that's a part of them wanting to go back to something that used to be, right? And we have moved beyond what used to be. We have moved beyond the traditional wife. What do we say the characteristics of traditional wife? Characteristics of a traditional wife is be at home, stay at home, cooking and cleaning, traditional male roles where he's the provider and she's the nurturer, dressing in a modest and vintage inspired way, and rejecting modern feminism. Okay. When we knock all of that out, we could be at home, stay at home. But the man has to make enough money in order for that to happen. Most men don't make enough money for that to happen. So if a man doesn't make that enough money for that to happen, we obviously cannot be stay-at-home wives. So that knocks that tradition out the window completely, right? If you don't make enough money, and most men don't make enough money for a woman to stay home, how can you consider this marriage to be a traditional one if that's the staple of being in a traditional marriage? Being able to stay at home and cook and clean and make sure the house is did, your clothes are ironed, all this good stuff. But if you're not able to provide that as a man, that means I can't possibly be the traditional person that your wife or marriage that you wanted to be. I have to work. Most people have to work. So therefore, the traditional marriage, that doesn't happen in traditional marriages. So when people say, oh, I want to be in a traditional marriage, okay, then if you want to be in a traditional marriage, then I expect you to make enough money to take care of me so I don't have to go out and work. I expect I don't have to go out and work. I don't have to do this. I don't have to pay a bit attention to that, this, that, and the third. Cooking and cleaning is a primary responsibility of a traditional wife. Okay, fine. We got to do the cooking and cleaning. Let's put that to the side. It's unnecessary. Most people know how to cook, and most people know how to clean. Believing in traditional family dynamics. The man is a provider and wife is okay. We can get behind that. Most women can get behind that. Most women can get behind cooking and cleaning. Most women can get behind husband being the provider and the nurturer. The one key component is, do you make enough money for me to sit at home? Most men don't. So that takes care of that cooking and cleaning fully. That should take care of the man being the sole breadwinner. Dressing modestly or in a vintage inspired way. Most women are going to dress modern. So we can throw that out the window. Okay? We can throw that out the window. So I've given you the 5 components. Those are the 5 components of a traditional wife. How many of you fall into that category of being a traditional wife or are able to be a traditional wife? Most women want to be that stay home. They want that one aspect. They want that one aspect of being able to stay at home and be a wife and a mother. But financially, they're not able to do that. So therefore, you have to throw away that traditional mindset and get into the modern mindset of saying, okay, I need to embrace some of these things so that I can have a more cohesive and better relationship marriage. When you're a modern day woman, not all modern day women follow a script. It's never about a script. Okay. Some choose to stay at home, prioritize careers. Some don't want kids. You redefine marriage for it to work. Okay. For it to work. Non-traditional setups like a long distance relationship, open all that craziness, right? That doesn't help relationships. You have to stick to what your relationship calls for. Okay? Just because a woman is a modern day woman doesn't mean she doesn't know how to do traditional things. The traditional things are not doing traditional things is untenable. It's unsustainable because most women have to work. So therefore, a lot of that goes out the window of the cooking and the cleaning. She can't do that every day. Sometimes he has to help. Sometimes he has to do some of these things. Okay. Financially aware. In a modern day marriage, those two people decide what's important. When you're good at this, you do this. When she's good at that, she does that. That's a modern day marriage. And there's nothing wrong with a modern day marriage. I was a blend. I was a blend between traditional and modern. I cooked and cleaned. I made sure we had these things, but I also worked and managed the bills. He was the disciplinarian. He was the one who had the final say. He was the one who made those major life decisions. But we blended the modern day. We blended the modern and the tradition. Sometimes he cooked. And later on, as we got older, he loved to cook. So he would cook more than me. So the modern day marriage is fine. You just cannot bring all of those toxic elements into it where you resent your role as the wife. You resent the fact that maybe he doesn't wash clothes as often, or maybe he doesn't do this as often. Instead of just accepting the role and accepting your part in what needs to be done to move this family forward. Okay. Put very short, a modern day woman is flexible. She's adaptable, but she still has strong values about marriage and family. Okay. But the marriage is on their terms, not how the Bible says marriage should be, not how other people says marriage should be. The modern day women and husbands embrace traditional and they embrace modern. We know men don't make enough money for us to sit at home. So therefore we're going to have to work. But then we make it a blending of who cooks, who doesn't, blah, blah, blah. But we don't resent each other's roles. You don't resent the fact that I sit at, see, because men, sometimes you have men who resent women who sit at home. You ain't doing nothing. You sitting at home all day without really knowing that it takes effort to do things when you're at home. See, I'm not one of those people that can sit at home. I'm one of the people that wake up at 4:00 in the morning and I got to get up and I got to go. I'm up and moving by 5 a.m. Out the door, walking, exercising, going where I need to go, doing all of those things. Modern day woman, but I also believe in coming back home and waking my husband up, getting him food, making sure he's straight, making sure he has clean clothes to wear, making sure he has shoes to wear, making sure he has underwear. That I'm traditional in that way. And then women have to be traditional in that way. It just is what it is. A lot of women resent, I don't want to be taking care of a man, but that's a part of being married. That's a part of being in a relationship. That's a part of loving another human being. And then that person, that husband is supposed to be doing the same thing for you. Okay. There is no really straight traditional wife. I don't know what one modern woman would be happy with a straight traditional relationship. Okay. People say, what is a healthy marriage? Healthy marriage is comprised of a lot of characteristics, right? But the main things are intentionality and commitment. A good marriage feels like focusing on the good things your partner does, as long as they got a good intentions, and working as a team, encouraging them to do the same thing. Both people must be working in good faith for a marriage to be good, for a marriage to be happy, for a marriage to work. Being honest without being mean or unnecessarily hurtful to another human being. Knowing when to let things go. Knowing when to have difficult conversations. Offering praise when you need to offer praise, and giving constructive criticism when that's needed. Okay? Everyone responds to a better positive reinforcement. I don't give a damn who you is. Right? Not taking a partner for granted and being willing to insist that they treat you with respect and they treat you the way that you want to be treated and the way they want to be treated. They want you to treat them. Okay? It's better to ask somebody about what you want. It's better to tell people what you want up front. Let's put it that way. Okay? It's better to ask people up front and tell people how you want to be treated. A good marriage is about being good to another human being and receiving that goodness. Don't talk about or obsess or harp on the flaws that this person has. You see that they have flaws, but those flaws are not detrimental to that relationship. Don't, and I mean this to the bottom of my this, if you don't learn nothing, don't marry a person expecting to change. Don't marry a person expecting them to change. Okay? Don't worry about their flaws. Nobody is perfect. Don't marry a person if you don't like the way they are. Don't marry them if you don't like the way they act, because you will not be able to fix personalities or morals or habits. I remember having a conversation the other day, or hearing a conversation the other day. They were talking about, oh, I got to break this woman. This woman need to be broke. Please hit the like button coming in, guys. You know we need the like button hit. We need the like button hit. They said we got to break this woman. There's no marriage if I got to go into that marriage breaking someone. There's no real marriage if I got to go into this relationship changing another human being. Talking about their flaws, talking about what they're not doing, talking about the fact that you dress this way or you dress that way. You love that person the way they walk in the door. That's the only way a marriage is going to last. So when people say, well, I got expectations about my wife, you show me somebody who does that to a wife, and I will show you a person that will be divorced or on the verge of divorce within 2 to 5 years. Okay? That's not how marriage works. That's not how marriage is ever going to work. Okay? When you don't accept the person the way they walk through the door. And I have been saying that since I walked onto this internet. If you don't do that, that marriage will never last. And that person has to have the same concept as you. You want to be a traditional wife. Accept that tradition is over. Traditional wives are over. You don't do what a traditional woman does. It depends, and being a tradition, it depends on what you value in a relationship. Do you want to be a combination of the two? There's nothing wrong with wanting to work and push your family forward financially so you can be set. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay. But you have to understand that your role is to be in the back seat. Your role is not to be in the front seat unless you and your partner make that distinction. If your partner and you don't make that distinction between you being in the front, you being in the back seat, him being in the front seat, your relationship is going to fail. Because all of these roles have to be negotiated before we get into a relationship. You meet a person and you find out what values they value. Okay. The minute you're on that first date, and they say, well, I want a traditional wife. And then you ask, what you're supposed to say is, what do you mean by traditional? You mean tradition? What do you mean? Am I going to work? Are we going to make decisions together? Are you going to be the provider? Do you make enough money for someone to stay at home? How do you do that? If the man doesn't make enough money to stay at home, then that marriage is not going to be traditional. It just is what it is. Off the bat, if he don't make enough money for me to sit at home and take care of the kids and raise the kids, then this marriage is not going to be traditional. Because then we have to mitigate the load. All of the traditional things can't fall on me, and I work too. I work, you work. All the traditional stuff, baby rearing, taking care of PTA, blah, 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 that can't fall. It can't possibly fall only on me. So therefore, there's no way for it to be a traditional marriage. It has to be a combination of two. It has to be a combination of two. And both of you have to understand that it's a combination of you two. It's not just me. It's not just you. You as the wife have to understand that man cannot carry that whole burden. And there's nothing wrong with him not being able to carry the whole burden. There's nothing wrong with that, because you as a modern day woman, you want to help carry that burden as well. But let's be clear. If that man doesn't carry that burden of being able to provide without you with you not working, he doesn't make enough money for you to sit at home. By definition, this cannot be a traditional family, cannot be a traditional marriage. So therefore, you need that combination. And then that's when you start to negotiate as that wife, as the husband. Okay, I know I don't make enough money for her to sit at home. So part of traditional marriage, part of being a traditional wife means I get to sit at home and be a wife and a mother. Cook, clean, primary duties of cook, clean. The husband is the provider and I'm the nurturer. I dress a certain way, modestly, do this, that, and the third, and I reject all modern feminine. Most women are born in this, and we're born here. We're born in the modern day. Stop saying that you don't believe in the modern day thing. We're born in it. Okay. We don't know anything. We don't know anything other than this. Okay. We don't live in a time where men's salaries are enough to support a family. Men's salaries are enough to go to school, private school, blah, 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 blah. We don't live in that time. That time is past. So now traditional roles have to be negotiated. And I'm saying it's a welcome thing for children. And here's the thing. When men say, I want a traditional wife, they want a wife to never tell them no for sex. And they want a wife that keeps her mouth shut. And they want her to be fit, feminine. That's all they want. When they say traditional, that's all you want. Don't reject me for sex. Be at home cooking and cleaning. And don't be dressing like you lost your mind. And that's it. They don't know what the hell traditional is. All they know is they want to keep you for themselves and want you chained to the stove. Okay, fine. You want me chained to the stove? Then I expect you to make 100,000, 200,000, 300,000 where we can raise children. Where I can have children, I can sit at home and cook and clean. Okay? But off the bat, if you can't do that, that means this is not traditional. Please hit the like button, guys. Please hit the like button. It's very important. Those are very important for you to do that. Thank you. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being a traditional wife. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is have at it, Hoss, if that's what you want to do. But the 5 main characteristics of a traditional wife are rejecting everything that's modern feminism, dressing in a modest and vintage type way, believing the man is the provider and you're the nurturer, and that's all your roles are. Cooking, cleaning, and that's all your primary responsibilities are. You don't touch no money. You don't figure out no finances. You don't pay no bills. You don't do nothing. You don't even look at the bills. They don't even come your way. And then number 1 is being at home, staying at home. If a man can't do all those 5 things for you, then you're not a traditional wife. And I posit that most of us are not traditional wives. Most of us want to look at the bills. Most of us want to know where the money is going. Most of us are modern day women. We want to know what's going on in the world. We want to know what's going on with our man. We want to know what's going on in another job. We want to be able to contribute to the household. We want to be able to bring money home, move our family forward. But you also want to stay at home. Most men don't make that kind of money that you get to sit at home and not do nothing. Okay? And you as a woman should recognize your husband or your partner as a person who can or who cannot do that, and act accordingly and treat him as the human being that he is. This is what my man does. He's a plumber, he's a carpenter, but we're still going to have he's a policeman, but we're still going to have to work to get Johnny into Catholic school. So I got to work to make sure Johnny goes to Catholic school. Me as the wife, I got to work in order to make sure that Bum Keisha got piano lessons. Bum Keisha got ballet lessons. Bum Keisha got all those. My mom knew that she wanted to have me take piano lessons. I taught piano. I got piano lessons twice a week. So my mom had to pay for that. So she had to go out and work. Okay. I went to Catholic, so I went to school. I never went to school with men. I mean, I never went to school with women, guys, boys. All the way up until I went to college. I never went to school with men. I mean, boys. I went to all girls schools, all Catholic schools, all my life until I went away to college. Okay. Never went to regular school. Always Catholic, always girls, nuns. Nuns taught me. I was taught by nuns. Okay. And my mother had to pay for that. I want my daughter to have this education. I want my daughter to do this. I want my daughter to do that. So I'm going to pay for it. But she also understood that she was the person that had to cook, to clean, to do all of those things. Right. And that's the type of wife I was. I want my daughters to learn. I want my daughters to have ballet. I want my daughters to go to charm school. I want my daughters to do this. And so I had to pay for those things. And when I worked, I paid for those things. My husband paid for the house, the car. He paid all of those things. But I had to pay for if I wanted my daughters to do this, I wanted my sons to have basketball. I wanted my sons to go to football practice. I had to pay the $300 for that. That money came out of my money. Okay. And we negotiated those roles. I'm saying most women can't afford to be traditional wives unless your husband makes that kind of money. And that's great. That's fabulous. But most of us don't have that option. Right? So I'm making a case for the modern day woman. Stop saying, I don't want no modern day woman. That's what you get. That's what you got. That's your choices. And I posit any woman that's sitting there talking about, oh, I'm a traditional wife, and you do all of that list of 5 things that I put down as a traditional wife. You do all 5 of those things. No, you don't. No, you don't. And I'll show you an unhappy woman. Okay. So that's okay. Traditional wives are okay. I don't have anything against traditional wives. I'm saying a traditional wife is what you want to do. That's fine and dandy, but it's not sustainable if a person doesn't have a man who makes that kind of money. Okay. A lot of people say modern day marriage is not biblical. Most of us, a lot of us are not religious. So I took all of the biblical aspects out of anything that people had to say, okay, about the Bible and marriage. If you're one of those people that follow the marital, I don't want to get into the Bible because it's just a book to me. It's not a doctrine to follow for me because I'm just a naturally good person. So since I'm a naturally good person, I follow the things that I feel are good and move me forward into this world. I don't follow Christian tradition. I don't do that because I don't need a book to tell me to be good. I just need to gather all of the evidence out there, all the things in the world that tell me what a good wife is, tell me what a good person is, and then I practice those things. I don't need a book like the Bible to tell me what I'm supposed to do in that regard. Okay? I just exist as a good human being, right? So I'm saying there's nothing wrong with tradition. I'm saying the modern day woman can be just as effective. Okay? Yes, it's not a matter of, and people say, okay, modern day woman prioritizes career over family. No, she doesn't. She just understands that she has to work, that there are priorities and obligations that come along with being a wife and working. It's just priorities. Okay? She knows that she has to work in order to move her family forward. There's nothing wrong with knowing that you have to work to move your family forward. Okay? Most people have to do that. Okay? Most people have to do that. Okay? And a traditional wife, people say, well, modern day marriages ended divorce. It's the reason why that happened is because women were allowed to work. This is not something that women did. Men put it into place where women could work. Once men decided that women could work, as men, you're the one who brought about this feminism or whatever. Men brought that about, okay? But the whole point is they want to blame women for taking advantage of that. You all started this woman a feminist move, okay? The benefits of, people say, well, what are the benefits of marriage for a woman? Okay. A lot of people don't see the benefits of it, okay? The benefits of being married is you have somebody to take the load off. Someone to bounce ideas off. Someone to be in it to raise children and productive household. I decided as a married woman that I was not going to raise 6 children, 5 children, 6 children alone. I decided that early. I'm not doing this alone. You're going to stay here and we are going to do what we got to do. We're not going to be miserable doing it. Okay? We're going to stay here and we're going to raise effective. I say my children right now, I don't have one child in jail. I don't have one child on drugs. Some of them do things that I don't approve of job-wise. But other than that, I don't have no complaints about my children. The children that we raise. None of them have ever been disrespectful. I have never been cussed out by my children. I have never had to cuss my children really completely out. I've never had them say, you were a crappy mother. I've never had any of my kids say any of those things. Okay? Straight down the middle. I never called my children names. I never put my hands on children because I made a commitment to myself when I was a young child. I will never hit another human being, specifically children. People want to whoop children, spank them. I could never do that. People say, oh, you so soft. Yes, I am one of those people that everything is in the middle for me. I try to do no harm to another human being. I try to raise human beings correctly, to be nice human beings. I try to make sure that you are validated as a human being. My husband is validated as a husband. You're validated. Everything that you do is validated in this marriage. I appreciate. I am a person that believes. I am a person that is an act of service. That is my love language. You do things for me, I see love. You do things for me. When you say you love me, I kind of believe it. But when you do things for me, you're doing those things because you know that I don't want to do them, or I can't do them, or you're taking that burden off me. Okay. I told my husband, maybe 2 months before he died, I said, you were the best father I could have picked for my children. Because I knew early he was one of those people that cared about children. He thought about other people other than himself. And that was one of the main things when it came to you know how people get married and they want a traditional husband. He don't care about the family. He don't care about the kids. He just go to work and he don't pay attention to the kid. My husband paid attention to the children. He would make sure that even my 2 children that weren't his biologically, he would get down and look them in the eye and talk to them. He would talk to them. What can I do? What can I help you with? My husband would get down on his knees and he would talk to the children eye to eye so they would know that he was listening. When he would get a plate of food, he would feed them from his plate. And I thought that was the weirdest thing. I was like, kids are nasty. Right? He would feed the kids from his plate. Even my 2 children that weren't his, he would feed them from his plate. When they were little, when they were 2 and 3 years old. I thought that was the weirdest thing, but that's what he did. Right? And that's not a traditional role. So my husband understood that we would have to have a blended relationship, a blended family, a blended role of traditional, this. He would throw clothes in the washing machine in a minute. He wouldn't think anything of it. He would go in the kitchen and cook. He wouldn't think anything of it. My husband set the boundary for the house. Kids in the bed by 7:30, 8 o'clock. I don't want to see no kids after 8 o'clock. So I followed that rule. Get in that room. I don't want to hear you or see you unless you got to use the bathroom, unless you want to drink a water, unless somebody jumping in your window. We don't want to see you after 8 o'clock. And that was all the way up until they were teenagers, all up until they got out of the house. That was a rule that my husband said. I don't want to see them kids. When I want to get some sex, I don't want to be hearing no kids running around the house. Okay. So he and I had a blend of traditional and modern day marriage. And I understood my role. My role was the backseat. But I was happy to be there. Women keep saying, what's the benefit of being a wife? If you have the right man, it's a lot of benefits to being a wife. If you have the right woman, there's a lot of benefits to being married. You don't have to worry about her taking your money. You don't have to worry about him cheating on you. It's not a thought. Okay? Until it is a thought. Mixing traditional and modern day can work. Most men don't make enough money to be the traditional household person, but that doesn't mean they don't deserve respect. Please hit the like button, guys. You know that's important. Please hit the like button. Coming in, going out. Please hit the like button. Most people say they don't respect it. Not most people. I'm sorry. Some people. You have to respect my job. I have to respect your job. I want to move the family forward, so I'm working. Okay. And people would love to be at home, sit at home, not work, not do what they need to do. But that's not feasible. That's not financially viable. Not in this day and age. I am making a case for people to get married, for people to move in together, for people to save financially, to do what they need to do in order to survive. Okay. A lot of people can make this work if you just tweak what you say. When that person walks in the door, when your husband and wife walk into the door, the biggest factor in making a marriage work is accepting that person the way they walk into the door, as long as they don't have flaws that are glaringly obvious, as long as they don't have way outrageous flaws, like they drink a lot. That's a flaw you cannot get past. But if they're normal, everyday, average, because all of us are average. Every person that we just average, normal. Most people are average. It is what it is. If you have a normal, everyday, average person who doesn't drink a lot, who doesn't smoke weed a lot, who doesn't do cocaine a lot, who doesn't do all of these things, who don't vary, you can make a marriage work if they're committed to that. And I don't want to hear a man say, well, I want a traditional wife. You don't know what a traditional wife does. A traditional wife dresses a certain way. She cooks, cleans. That's all she does. She don't look at no bills. She don't know nothing about no bills. And she's subservient. All you want as a modern day man is for her to be fit, feminine, and friendly. You can work with anything else, traditional or modern, as long as she's fit, feminine, and friendly. She ain't bitching and being no hyena. And I challenge any men to tell me differently. That's all you want. Come home and be nice. Come home and give me a little sex 2 or 3 times a week. Come home and don't be screaming and hollering. You can work, hon, long as we decide together before we get off work what we gonna eat, what we gonna fix the food for the kids, how we gonna do this. This is how I think children should be raised. My husband believed that children had to be sitting at the table when it was dinner time. Make dinner time is 5 o'clock. You better be at the table. You don't get to have no cell phones. You don't have to have none of that. Get to the table, sit down, eat everything on your plate. I ain't gonna put a lot on your plate. You eat that, then you get some more. That's what my husband said. That's the rules and things my husband set as a husband, as a provider, as the head of the household. We eat together. We talk about the day. I ask you what's going on. My husband help with the dishes. My husband may cook. I wash clothes. I got to work in the morning. He got to work in the morning. I make sure he's got his clothing. I make sure his uniform is together. I make sure his pants are ironed. I make sure his shoes are polished. I make sure all of these things. And he rubs my feet. He rubs my back. This is a modern day marriage. We have to work. My children wanted to have ballet. My children wanted to be in basketball. I had to pay for those things, which meant I had to work. My husband didn't make enough money to support a family where I didn't have to work, where we would have everything. So therefore, I knew I had to work and do the extra stuff. You pay for the vacations. You pay for the kids' ballet. You pay for the boys' basketball. You pay for the boys' football. You pay for all of these things. Any extra clothing, this is what you did. So we made it work as a modern day family. Modern day family can work as long as you accept that person the way they walk in the door and not try to change a person, not belittle a person, not make a person feel less than because they have different values, but it's all has to be communicated. All of these things have to be taught. There's nothing wrong with traditional marriage, but most of us cannot do that. So I'm making a case for the modern day marriage. Fit, feminine, and friendly. However that looks for you. Fit, feminine, and friendly. If you can't walk into a room without cursing, without being a hyena, then go to free sessions about marriage at the hospital, at the health department. Look in your city, your community, where you can go and speak to people about whatever stresses that you have. But don't bring it home to the family. Don't bring it home in the form of cussing your husband out, or cussing your wife out, or cheating, or beating your children. I decided early on I wasn't going to put my hands on a child. So therefore, I had to learn how to talk to the children. I had to learn how to talk to people. And my husband was the same way. He had a propensity to be violent. He was a correction officer. So he had to react like that in situations where his life was in danger. So once I told him that you were bringing that home to me, he figured out that he couldn't do that. So therefore, he learned how to regulate himself. He involved himself in the children's lives. I want the children to do this. I want to be able to talk to the children. He would get down on his knees and he would speak to them. Even the 2 children that weren't his, my 2 children. He would get on his knees and speak to them. How can I help you? Why are you crying? Blah, blah, blah. This is modern day marriage, people. This is modern day. We all have modern day marriages. People don't want to say that. If you have a traditional wife and that's all she does is the traditional things and she loves to do that, okay, have at it. But most of us don't. Most of us can't afford that. So we have to renegotiate what it means to be in a marriage. Okay? What it means to have a traditional husband who wants to provide, who wants to take care of his wife, and not denigrate that role because he doesn't make enough money. Right? And don't denigrate her because she wants to work. She wants to help provide for the family. She wants to move the family forward. So therefore she works. She wants her daughters to go to ballet. She wants her daughters to go to dance class. She wants her daughters to take SAT prep. She wants her sons to take SAT prep. All of these things. Hit the like button coming in, guys. You know what it is. Hit the like button coming in, please. So I'm saying don't look down on traditional wives. Don't look down on modern day wives. People say, well, you should be teaching. Yes, I am teaching. I am having a conversation with people about tradition and modern day and letting you know it's very difficult to deal with the traditional when you don't have the right components of that. No one makes that kind of money. No, the price of everything has skyrocketed to the point where nobody can afford to be a traditional wife. You got to get out there and work. And your best bet is to do it now, even though the unemployment rate is so low. That they ain't trying to take nobody new jobs unless you got specialized skills. So when we say we want to be a traditional wife, that means you want to be able to work and you want to share the load with your husband. That means share the load. That means take the stress off of the husband. And your job is not just to go to work. As a husband, your job is not just to go to work. Your job is to contribute to that family as well. Get down on your knees and talk to those children like they're human beings. Get down on your knees and deal with your child too. And that doesn't mean holler, scream, beat. That means talk to your children. When my children got a whooping, I was so hurt that my husband would put his hands on the children. I was so hurt. But I knew that was his way of discipline. And I knew one of us had to do it, so it would be him. Okay? But I knew I wasn't going to be that disciplinarian. Modern day marriages can work as long as those roles are negotiated, as long as everybody understands this is the provider, he is the provider. He has major say, he has the biggest share of the say. As long as he understands that she also has to have a say, she also has to have a contribution to the final things that go on. as long as they understand that you're good at some things and I'm good at other things, and then we recognize who's good at what, and we propel this family forward using those skill sets. Each of us using our different skill sets. Accepting a human being, how they come through the door, not trying to change a human being, not trying to tell me I need to do this, that, and the third. And then you getting mad at me because I don't act the way you are. If I acted the same way you were, I would be you. Okay. The whole point is you got to be willing to try and compromise and figure out how to negotiate your roles. Okay. How to negotiate your role as a couple, how to negotiate your role as a wife. If you know you want to be a wife and you don't know how to cook, then you need to figure out how to cook. You need to figure out how to get 4 or 5 good recipes. You better know how to cook if you got kids. That's for sure. Okay. You better know how to cook if you have children. You better figure that out quick. And a lot of men are like, they don't know how to cook. That most people know how to cook. Okay. Most people know how to cook. Okay. And then you ask yourself, okay, you ask yourself, why do modern day marriages fail, or there's a problem with modern day marriage? The problem is people don't want to compromise, and people think they're more than what they are. I had a conversation last night. I called the audience, or I called the panel, or I called the chat average. He got mad. Everybody's average. Everybody is normal. I don't look at people as good or bad or better or you. I look at people as average, regular, everyday, average Joe Blow. We all want to have sex. We all want to be in a relationship where we respect it. We all want to be in a relationship where we feel good about ourselves. Everybody do. Everybody have it. Everybody wants the same thing. So you ain't no special. Ain't no snowflakes out here for me. Right? Most people don't want to compromise. And without compromise, nothing is going to work. Nobody wants to understand. They just want to hear and say what they want to say and hear. And then my way is the right and then your way is the wrong. Poor communication. That's the problem. Okay. Poor communication. Okay. But what they don't understand is other marriages beforehand have failed just at the same rate as ours. Okay. Problem was, traditional generations before us didn't have the option of divorce, but they just chose to suffer, stay married, because that's what people shamed them in doing, right? I don't think marriages these days, people say, well, marriage is a bad marriage rate. People just, back then, people just didn't get out of marriages. They just didn't leave. They just went, Johnny just went on the other side of town and made another family. Mom just checked out and started having other people baby. The rate probably is the same. You just never left. Okay. You got to compromise and adjust. And there's a lack of maturity in these relationships. I'm saying the whole point is learn to accept relationships for what they can be. Look at the good things. Look at the positive things. Stop thinking about what you don't have and be grateful for what you do have. I have a husband here. He goes to work. He comes home. Celebrate what you got right there. Does he get involved with the children? Does he help you cook, clean, do all of these things? Does he help you with gas? Does he take care of the car? All of these things. Does she cook every once in a while? Does she clean? We have sex when we're supposed to have sex? Is she grateful for the things I do? She ain't beating on the kids. I'm saying there's a case for modern day marriage. There's a case for traditional marriage if that's what you want. It has to be something both of you want. You can't be a a person who wants traditional things and she be modern and you try to force her into being traditional. That's when marriages fail. You're forcing her, and oh, you better cook, you better clean. You know, you better stay home. No, that's not how it works. Before you get married, that's what negotiating is in engagement time. Learning how to negotiate, learning what your partner does. I know I know I don't want a husband. I know I don't want a husband who tells me what to do, where, how, blah, blah. I know I don't want no husband like that. Right off the bat. I know I don't want a husband like that. So therefore, I don't deal with men like that. Soon as I find out that's how he feels, I push you to the side. Nope, you're not what I want. And you're not going to be happy with me because I'm very independent. I want to come home, I want to go to work, get up, wake up at 3:00, 3:00 in the morning, get dressed, maybe give out a BJ, go to work, come home, figure out what we're going to eat for dinner, blah, blah, blah. Put the kids in the bedroom, make sure they fed, they out the way, the whole nine. Make sure we vibing with money. What do you want to pay for? What do you want? What do I need to take out of the budget? Blah, 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 blah. That's the kind of marriage I want. I don't want you to come home and tell me I can't wear this, that, and the third. I don't want you to come home and tell me these things because that's not how I walked into the marriage. I walked into the marriage wearing what I'm wearing. I walked into the marriage knowing what I'm supposed to wear, knowing how I'm supposed to act. You can't change a person and make a person change into anything that you want. All of that has to be there. That change, that amiability has to be there. And God forbid if you're an older man and you try to get a younger woman and try to mold her into something because she doesn't even know what she is first. That's why it's important to get people who understand who they are and what they are. Otherwise, those marriages don't work, don't last. Now, and if they do, I'll show you an unhappy person. Did we hit the like button coming in, guys? Did we hit the like button coming in? I don't know the subject of next week's. Hello. Hey. I don't know the subject of next week's show, but it's going to be interesting. It's going to be, we not average, we special. Shut up. Hey, look, I took that from y'all, Kevin Samuel. He said, why y'all get mad when we call you average? Everybody's average. We ain't outstanding. We ain't finna discover fusion. We ain't finna discover fire. We just everyday average human beings trying to make it work. And I don't mind being there. I love being there. Don't mess with me. I would just want to be happy. I don't want to be all up here and there and all. I just want to be happy. Had me some good sex. Had me some good conversation. Had me some good vibes. Go out to eat dinner. Do all it. That's all I want. Don't bother me. I'm not trying to argue with you. I'm not trying to fuss and fight. Whatever you want to do. Right? Y'all hit the like button, please. Hit the like button. We're not average. We special. Yeah, she gets mad. And there it is. People, we have to train our younger people. We have to train the younger people. That doesn't compromise on you being a woman when you refill another person's drink or you do things for the other person. As long as the other person is grateful for you doing them and they reciprocate, there's nothing wrong with that. Okay? There's nothing wrong with that. Okay? And so I'm saying to women these days, don't be afraid to embrace being married and doing these things. You're not compromising on your person. He's not compromising on his person. Men, we want you to help with the children. We want you to be present when it's possible to be present in a relationship. We want you to be present. We want you to have understand. We want to be able to understand what you're doing. Nobody likes to be married just for duty. There's nothing attractive about being married for duty. I want to be aroused every day in this relationship. We want to be aroused in the relationship. We want to be engaging in the relationship. Okay. Like I said, I don't know what next week's subject is going to be, but it's going to be about marriage and how we try to make marriage work. Marriage is a beautiful thing. Y'all don't even understand how beautiful it was to be married, how beautiful it was to have this type husband, And most of y'all have talked to me and seen me, and you know I'm not outrageous. You know, I'm dingy. It is what it is. But he loved me regardless. And I loved him regardless. And we made that marriage work. We would still be married. If he was alive, we'd still be married. Because I enjoyed being married to this person. I didn't have to explain myself. I didn't have to say, can I, would I, woulda. I knew it was okay before I would even think to ask, because I knew it was okay, because he knew what type of person I was. And I knew what type of person he was. I didn't have to worry about, you going out with the boys? Okay, go ahead. Have a good time, baby. You know, have a good time. I trust you. I don't have to even say the word, I trust you. And we had a modern day marriage with a sprinkle of tradition. Of course, you should marry. You and your wife are a family. Regardless of whether you can have children or not, you and your wife are a family. Make a discussion where if we can't have children, if we don't want to have children, that's fine too. If you don't want to have children, if you can't have children, well, can we have children the non-traditional way? Can we have children? You know what my aunt did? My aunt couldn't have children. My mother's sister couldn't have children. What she did was she put an advertisement in the paper and asked people who didn't want their children, you know, a pregnant teen or whatever, if they didn't want their kids, she would raise them. And she got 2 kids. She raised 2 kids, 2 girls that weren't hers. Her and her husbands raised 2 girls that weren't hers, that she just took from a stranger. Back in the day, you could do that. So she just took them and she raised them. My cousins, they're my cousins, you know, and she raised them. Somebody gave her the children and she raised them. It's a different story if you don't want them. If you don't want them, hey, do your thing. If you can't, see if there's a possibility of getting children non-traditionally, in the traditional type of way. If you're the type of person that can extend your love, extend your compassion, extend your empathy to a child, if you can extend your empathy to a child and say, okay, this child, I didn't give birth to this child, but I can love this child, then y'all go for trying to have kids the non-traditional way. Right. That's the way I would go forward. And yes, you and a wife, you and a husband, if you cannot have children, you're still a family. That is still a family, because you're 2 entities that are not blood related who come together to form, what the hell? Two entities that come together to form a union. That's a family. That is a family. That starts out the family. Okay. And you extend yourself accordingly. If you have empathy, you have sympathy. See if you can have them the non-traditional way. Adoption. There's people get children, people raise children all different types of ways. Back in the day when I was young, people gave their children. I don't know how them balloons came up. It just freaked me out. Oh no. But people got children non-traditional ways when I was growing up. I know this one girl, she was a drug addict. She would get pregnant all the time. And she would give this lady her children. She would give these people her children. She would have the children and she would give them to them. I don't know how that happened, but she would give it to him. Okay. So make your relationship, don't be defined by how people say relationships are supposed to be. You make your relationship. You make it what you want it to be, right? It just freaked me out. These people back in the day, these children, people didn't want the children. They would take the children and they would raise the children as their own, as their child. So you can get your people say, well, I can't get no child. I can't. Yeah, you can. There's ways to. They may not be traditional, but you can, right? But make your family the way you can. People say there's traditional and modern. There's a blend. Most of us have to blend. Most of us have to blend. And there's nothing wrong with that. Most men want a fit, feminine, and friendly. Okay, ladies, we know that they want fit, feminine, and friendly. Do that coming in the door. Be that coming in the door. Once you be that, that's the baseline. Fit, feminine, and friendly. No hyena-ish. If you know you have a problem talking to a person, if you know you have a problem communicating, get help. There's all kinds of classes. There's all kinds of things at the college. There's all kinds of things. I made it a habit. When I wanted to do something, I went and I searched it out and I went and talked to people. Talk to them. You're depressed. You feeling some type of way. Go talk to people. Go look at classes at the college. Look at classes at the health department, at the hospital. The hospital has all kinds of classes. Do that. Because we're trying to make relationships work. We're trying to make marriages work. We're trying to make relationships work. We're trying to do all of these things. Thank you, Rain, for the $99.99, the $9.99 good topic. Thank you. I thought so. Because I don't want people to feel like they have to be traditional or they have to be modern. I'm saying there's a blend. A blend type dynamic that works just as well. My husband and I were a blend. I knew he didn't make enough money for me to sit at home, so I used my money accordingly. Okay. But I knew he was the provider, knew he was the person that the final say went through. Okay. And recognize that you're not perfect. Recognize that everybody is not perfect. That hyena behavior, that's the number one issue with most men. The hyena behavior. Please correct that. If you don't think you do, ask people around you. Am I intolerable? Can I change? But then, Rain, that's people's ego. And that's part of why that's part of what made me think this morning over the conversation I was having with Mr. Walker, Mr. Gavin. I said, I called people, I said people were average. Most people are average. And people got upset. The only reason why you would get upset is because you think you're better than average. Most of us are average, and there's nothing wrong with that. Hey, y'all, baby Jesus said average is fine. I'm just going by what he said. I'm just going by what he said. That's all. I did something like this. Didn't I do this? I don't know how that came. I don't know what happened. I don't understand it. But I don't know the topic for next week. The topic for next week is going to be interesting. It's going to be dynamic. So please like and share this stream. If you found the content, okay, please share it. Sharing it would be great. Okay. Share whatever else you need to do, but we're gonna make all of this happen, right? So I thank you all for showing up. I appreciate the super chat from Rain, $9.99. Thank you. Thank you very much. And I will see you guys throughout the week. I'll try to bring more content. Okay. On Google, it sounded random. What does that mean? On Google, it sounded random. I don't understand what that means. Oh, okay. No. It wasn't random. So I will see you guys throughout the week. I'm going to try to bring more subjects, shorter subjects throughout the week. And then, on Sunday, we have our talk like this because we're trying to move relationships forward. Okay, I don't know. It's random. Oh, okay. I'm going to try to move relationships forward. This is my contribution to trying to move marriages forward, trying to move relationships forward. Okay. No guilt. We don't have any guilt over here. We don't have any shame over here. We just have loving compromises and conversations. Okay. So I will see you guys next week. And thank you for coming out. Thank you guys. Please like and share. Please like and share. Thank you.